Hello everyone, welcome to BFW 2401 Commercial Banking and Finance. My name is Mohammed Shiban. You can call me Sham. I share this unit with my tutor, Mr. Obian, who has been teaching with me for the last 3 years. Now, in this explanatory video for the unit, I am trying to do the following. Part one, I'm trying to introduce the unit. Part two, I will talk about the teaching activities. Namely, I'm going to talk about the tutorials, which is 2 hours this time, face-to-face tutorials. The hybrid tutorial, which we have only one tutorial. And I will talk also about the workshops. The third thing which I'm trying to cover here, which is I think it's most interest for all of you, is the assessment. And then we will finish or finalize this explanatory video with talking about the how you can navigate through this model template and see where you can find the resources and the teaching and these, class schedule and all those issues. Everything you need is in module. Everything about the assessment is in details. Everything about the resources are also in details and all in your module. I will be also receiving any of your emails to answer any question, either about the unit or as we progress in this unit later on. Now, this Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, which is the first week, I will talk in details about the unit. So if you have any questions, please save them to there. We will talk about it. We will spend around 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of the tutorial of the workshop, talking about the unit and the expectations and answer your questions. And I encourage all of you to attend the first workshop for this purpose. Now, if you allow me now, I want to actually share my screen and start talking about the issues of today. Unit in the beginning. There will be a video here. This is actually about the unit synopsis, and that's introducing the unit. Give you some background about the unit here. Then we will talk about the learning objectives, and then we'll talk about a little bit, and this is in the interview, about the teaching team and how you can talk, and communicate with them. But I think the most important thing is to talk about the teaching, the learning objectives or the learning outcome. Simply, there are 7, but let me summarize them for you. When we start talking about financial institutions, including banking, financial institution is a very, very important part of the bank, of the financial system. Now, when we talk about the financial institutions, we are not talking about banks or commercial banks. Even when we talk about banks, we have so many types of banking. And the bank, you can talk about commercial banking, you can talk about investment banking, you can talk about offshore banking, you can talk about now digital banking, so many banking we have now. But when we look at the picture as we talk about financial institutions, which this unit actually talk about, we are talking about commercial banking, we are talking about banking in general, we are talking about insurance companies, general insurance companies, life insurance companies, we are talking about pension funds, we are talking about mutual funds, we are talking about hedge funds, we are talking about what we call housing unions, credit union societies. All of those actually are type of institutions that take something called deposits or some type of contributions from the depositors and gave loans or do investments. We call this transaction financial intermediation. So all those financial institutions, including banks, what they do is they take the deposits and they try to invest it and loans or do investments in the market. This is the whole thing, and this is actually the banking model. And the banking model is not new. It has been there for almost 6 centuries. The first bank started in Italy in 1395. So it's a progress. It's still the same model. However, the way we deal with it is now progressing over time. Now, someone would say, well, it looks very easy to just receive deposits, start with some type of capital, receive deposits, and give loans or make investments. That is the banking model, and it's very easy one. The problem is with it is when you start to manage this financial intermediation as a middleman, as a financial intermediary, as a bank, when you receive the deposits and give loans, you are exposed to so many risks, almost 10 risks. Talk about liquidity risk, talk about credit risk, talk about if you're trading about market risk, talk about what we call derivative risk, financial derivative risk. So many things are actually involved in this operation. It's not as easy as it looks. And therefore, the way we divided this unit is, first of all, we introduce what are the financial institutions and why they are special and why people or depositors prefer to go to financial institutions and deposit their money there, and instead of going directly to the market and investing in the market. This is because those financial institutions are special in the services they provided. And this is actually we are covering in week 1. Now, when we come from week 2 until almost week 11, we talk about all those types of risks. And when we talk about risk, we talk about the risk we define. What is the risk? For example, talk about credit risk. Credit risk is when I give a loan. There is a possibility that the person who takes the loan will not pay it back. And there is so much possibilities that I gave loans to people who don't deserve to receive those loans, or I concentrate my loans in some type of business in this industry that actually has intrinsic risk or a risk in its operations. Now, this is why we have to talk about portfolio, for example. Now, I give you now this just credit risk, but you can talk about so many risks involved in the operations. So again, when we talk about from week 2 to week 9 to 11, we are talking about actually all those types of risk. And when we talk about it, we want to know what is the risk. We call it defining the risk. Then we want to talk about when we know that the risk exists, we want to measure it. We want to see whether is it really material, and we have to take care of that. So we come to something called measurement. And in the measurement, so many modelings are involved in each risk. Now, number 3, when we know what is the risk and we define it, and we measure it, and we know how much is it, then we are under expectations of having this risk in the future. So the question is, what we are going to do about it if it comes and becomes a real risk. So we call this risk management or managing that risk. So the risk, when we study it, each of those risks is define the risk, measure the risk, and manage the risk. Now, so the first part is the spatialness. The second part of the learning objectives of this unit is actually to identify those risks, measure them, and manage them. And the third thing we talk about, most important thing is, and most important component if we are in banking, is the regulation. And what are the regulations that are involved in our operations in banking? We have some type of local regulations, like Bank Negara here in Malaysia, who is the regulator of the banking system here. and we have to comply with all their rules, and we have to expose ourselves to those rules and what they are, and we should do what we should do about it. But this is also the local one. But we have also international regulations, like the regulations of the capital, which we call it capital adequacy. Namely, we are talking about Basel III. And now we have Basel IV, but in this class, we concentrate on Basel III. So when we talk about Basel III requirements or liquidity requirements according to Basel, that comes under the regulations. So this is the third category of the lending outcome or objectives of this unit: spatialness, risk management, and regulation. And all over that, we will expose ourselves also and understand how we can evaluate the performance of banks. So it's 4 parts, which is all those lending objectives are helping us to do. Having said that, let me just move a little bit to the other issues of the overview. So there will be a video here, which the one I'm recording now, and then we will have to see the unit schedule. So the unit schedule, as you can see it here, this is the unit schedule. And the unit schedule, we have 12 weeks, as you can see. And in these 12 weeks, we are bringing the materials. This is the materials we are going to do, we cover, this is the spatialness, as I told you. And this is all coming here from week 2 to week 11 almost is the risks. And then in week 4, we have the performance. So how we are going to assess ourselves and this, so in those topics. So for example, in class, we will have, I will talk about the assessment now in a while, but we will talk about for example, in week 1, we will test you about this issue in class quiz 1, which is coming in week 3 or week 4. And then we will also cover it in the final exam. Now, some of it will have more than the quizzes, like for example, we talk about interest rate risk in week 2, we talk about the pre-class activity, we will talk about the quiz 1, and we have the final exam. So this is actually how we are going to assess. Now, the class activity, for example, what class activity we will do to cover this topic, which is in week 1, we will do the recorded lectures. We will have tutorials, and let me stop here in tutorials. Tutorials in this semester is 2 hours, and it is the most important component of the teaching activities. I encourage all of you to attend those tutorials because they are 2 hours. There will be group discussion. I try to make it fun, stress-free. Don't worry about discussions or something like this. We'll just try to make it fun. We will play what we call Kahoot. We will play pool everywhere. We will just make it fun and interesting. And I will try to send you the tutorial before, maybe the solution before. So when you come open and you can write your notes and whatever is there. So the tutorial is a very important component of the learning activities. Now there is a recorded lectures, and I expect you to look at it. So the tutorial, for example, the material of this week, the tutorial will be next week, except for the first week, which I gave just a very introductory tutorial. Now, we also covered some of it in the workshop, but not too much as before. Before we used to have 2 hours workshop, 1.5 hour workshop. Now this time only 1 hour, and it will be during the quizzes, it will be allocated for the quizzes. But during the rest of the weeks, we will cover some of the materials as we will go and do it for the first week. Now, let me go to the next issue, which is actually the assessment. Now, the assessment this is the component of the assessment. So we have class test 1, class test 2, class test 3, class test 4, and this is the marks 6. This is only covering 2 weeks of materials. We will have 6 marks here. We will have 8 marks here for the second test, third, fourth, and then we have the pre-class activities. Somebody will say, well, I need to see how those are connected to the learning objectives. We will have it in week 4, and it's the individual one, multiple choice question, and it will cover some of the rest, which is actually coming in our learning outcome 1, 3, and 7. If you want to see what the class activity, class test 2, you will see it's covered learning activity 1, 2, 3, and 7, which I mentioned with the learning objectives of this unit. And then to give you more details, for example, when we talk about the pre-class activity, we have 5 pre-class activities. They are due in week 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12. And they also cover all the learning objectives of the unit. And this is, from the feedback, is a very, very important. Now, if you come to the details, for example, here, you will find the details of class test 1, which is this one. Now, you want to see when is it, what does it cover, what time, how many questions, what is the time, and it's already opened and you can see it and your module. This applies to class test 2, class test 3, class test 4, and then we have the assessment, the pre-class activities, which we have 5 of them. So the 5 of them are already mentioned, and you can, and the details are there. Now, let me pause for a minute here, and which is a very important issue. Look, this unit, as I told you, is a very specific unit, and it talks about this banking and financial institutions, and I will cover more of this in the workshop 1. But I understand most of you are coming from the first year. First year, we just take BFW 1001, which is the introduction to financial theory. Now, you touch a little bit in the financial institution, but not so much. This unit, which is commercial banking unit, is a very, very specific unit. And it needs actually some understanding of the materials. And the materials are overwhelming. But from my experience and from the feedback, I've been around for a long time in this university, and I've been teaching this class for a long time, and I really received the feedback, and I know what makes this unit easier. We want to make it easy, but we want also to make it useful. And I want students to score and to learn both. I can make it easy, but not useful. I want to make it easy and useful. And most important, I want you to deal with this unit in a very, very efficient way, which means you have to manage your time, because if you are going to study it, it's a very overwhelming materials, and you have 4 units, and the units are all, lecture in this university are very demanding. It's the nature of competition. It's a nature of the education excellence and this university, which is top, top quality. This is what we are trying to keep. But we also try to make the materials up to date, very specific, useful. And in this unit, we are trying to make it, I'm trying with your help to make you dealing with this unit in ease, in efficiency, and I want you to have fun during the whole unit, okay? And this is why I divided the test. For example, here, the assessment, when we do the assessment, I will test you in the first week here for those 2 weeks, but I will not test you more. And then I will test you here for 3 weeks, and then I will not test you more. And then 3 weeks and 3 weeks. So by the end of the semester, you already understand everything. Even if the final exam will be a replication of those tests. 30 marks or 50% of the final exam is 60 marks. 30 marks is going to multiple choice questions, which is part of what you have studied here. So if you manage your time, as we are going to talk about it in the workshop, attend tutorials, do week by week, finish the exam time, I mean, you will be safe, you will be scoring, and you will be having fun and stress-free in dealing with this unit. Now, I don't know what to say about it. I think this is the most important thing. But let me go to resources. This is the study resources. You can find here the book. You can get it. We just recommend the book, but most of the material you will receive open sources, and it can be, you can put it for 85 ringgits. We used to sell it for 300 ringgit. Now you can get it online for 85 ringgits. Now we have some other resources. We have a shared document. Now the shared documents, I'm trying to share with you the documents that we have actually last time from semester 2. There was so many questions. I will keep it so students look what questions were there, and you can add your questions there. I will answer there so everybody can share. The recommended textbook is here, but I also gave other resources like the Banker. Banker provides so many information about banking. BMG also provide too much information and good information and updated information about the banking, digital banking, the fintech, financial technologies that is related to banking. We have the Asian Institute of Charter Banks. We have Bank Negara, and we have also the Bank Negara is the Malaysian regulator, and this is EPRA, which is Australian Prudential Regulation Authority in Australia, which is the regulator. And I will keep also adding up as much as I can. If you want to communicate with us, this is the this is me, and Mr. Obian. So this is the lecture. You know, if you want to send, as I told you, I receive emails. I usually answer them the same moment. I mean, I like to do that, and day or night, or you know, just the email in my phone, and I'm always working my station, so I usually respond very fast to the emails. So if there is any questions about the exams, about progress, about the topics, you want face-to-face, what we call Zoom meetings, that's fine, whether you are in my tutorial or you are not in my tutorial, just send me emails or send Mr. Obian, and we'll be there for your help. I don't know what to say more, but that's almost everything I want to say today. I'd like to thank you for being in my class, and I wish you will have a wonderful class, wonderful semester, and let's have it fun for us. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to meet you, and let's have a happy one and good one. Now, for the time being, I just want to say thank you very much, and see you in the tutorials and also in the workshop. Bye-bye.